All right, let's give our picks for those new to the podcast. Lucas and I during the college football season will give a we'll give three bets of college of for the college football weekend. We will give a pick. We will give a lock, and we will give an upset. So upset, you have to pick um, a plus underdog to cover the spread. So Lucas, why don't we go first? Give us your upset pick.
So I alluded to this earlier in the pod for Nebraska, Minnesota. I'm taking Nebraska now. Right now, you can get it at +7. I actually bet this game like a month or so ago when these lines first came out. I was able to get Nebraska +8. But on FanDuel right now, you can get it at +7. I think DraftKings you can still get 7.5. I just don't think this is gonna. I just don't see Minnesota pulling away in this game. I think Nebraska's coming in with a lot of momentum. I think they want to show what they've kind of become under Matt Rule. Like I mentioned too, wouldn't shock me if there's like 15,000 Husker fans at that game as well. They're one of the best traveling fan bases. I think, especially the way Nebraska and Minnesota like to play. Nebraska's going more to kind of a pro style huddle, kind of slower tempo type offense, and that's all that Minnesota does too. They like to use as much clock, so it could be relatively low scoring. And with the new clock rules, I just don't see either one of these teams pulling apart from one another. I think this is going to be a 3 to 4 point game. So that's why I'm taking Nebraska +7 versus Minnesota.
Okay. I'm taking Utah State plus 25 and a half. I don't care. I don't trust Iowa to cover a 25 and a half point spread. Listen, Iowa could dominate this game. They could win 31-7. They could win, they could win 24-3. They could win 21-0. I just don't know. Do I trust Iowa to get in the 30s? Because I think that's what you're probably going to have to do. And listen, maybe they shut out Utah State. They win 27-0. That's, equally as likely. Um, but I just don't. That's a lot of points for me to just think that Iowa's going to be able to cover 25 and a half. So give me Utah State plus 25 and a half. And I'm already dreading having to watch Iowa Utah State with money on it. Already just dreading it. So, all right. I'm going to go with my pick of the week. I'm taking over 64 and a half in North Carolina, South Carolina. I teased it earlier.
I had a feeling.
I just think both teams get in the mid 30s here. I think both teams are going to score. I think they'll play fast. Don't love picking overs on when we have the new clock kind of rules where the clock doesn't stop after a first down, and I'm not exactly sure what impact that's going to have. But give me the over 64 and a half in Penn State. Or I'm sorry, in North Carolina, South Carolina.
Like North Carolina, like you mentioned, North Carolina overs were kind of money last year. So because they're going to score 40 and they're probably going to give up 40 as well. So my pick kind of alluded to this too. I'm taking UTSA -1.5 versus Houston. Like I said, just don't really love the vibes. I think Houston's kind of a program that's maybe ready to move on, just trying to get through this first year. Where UTSA just has a ton of momentum, especially with Frank Harris coming back and Jeff Traylor there for I think like his fourth or fifth season. Um, I think they arguably should have won this game last year against Houston. I think they're going to come in with kind of a chip on their shoulder, prove who they are. So get me UTSA -1.5 this weekend.
I like it.
Mhm.
I like it. All right, let's go. Let's get to your lock of the week.
My lock. So I'm going into the Big Ten, and I'm taking a game we did not talk about. I'm taking Illinois -9.5 versus the
Woo!
reigning MAC champs, the Toledo Rockets. I haven't. I don't know what Illinois' offense is going to clearly look like. They obviously they lose Tommy DeVito, who was solid for them last year. Their leading rusher Chase Brown is no longer there. They bring in Luke Altmaier from Ole Miss. A lot of people were high on, and they do bring back a lot of their top wide receivers, including Isaiah Williams. But I think where they're going to cover on this is on defense. Yes, they lost two first-round guys in Devon Witherspoon. They lost Sidney Brown. But this defensive line is going to be nasty with Jazeer Newton and Keith Randolph. I think that helps mitigate maybe some of the losses they had in the secondary because they're just going to have quarterbacks under pressure. Don't think a MAC offensive line is going to handle that. So that is why I think Illinois probably wins this by at least 2 touchdowns, maybe 17 points. So I'm going to take Illinois minus 9.5 versus Toledo.
Okay. The under 46.5 might be
Mm,
intriguing as
yeah.
well, with some question marks on the Illinois offense and Toledo's inability to score. All right, my lock of the week, back to the Big Ten, a game we did talk about. Give me Penn State minus 20.5. Let's ride with the Nittany Lions. I just think there are so many factors here that make this prime for a blowout. I think the atmosphere is going to be electric. I think Penn State's going to want to make a statement. Um, Maybe they leave Drew Aller in a little bit longer than maybe they should have, and I just think Penn State is going to do whatever it wants offensively. And I don't know how many points West Virginia can score. I mean, Penn State's defense, Abdul Carter, Kalen King, like there's so many studs on both sides of the ball for Penn State. We're both really high on Penn State this year. And I think a 21-point win at home under the lights on national television, I think Franklin's going to want to make a statement. Give me Penn State minus 20.5.
Yeah, I'm sure they're having a huge recruiting weekend there too in Happy Valley. Night game, first game of the year. Yeah, I agree with you. I think they're going to want to show out, even if that means playing some of their starters longer than they want to when they're already up by 21 or 28 points. But no, I like that pick as well because I just don't see any case where West Virginia makes that a game.